Masculine Mindset Show. It's Adam Scott. Today, guys, I have someone named Emiliano on my show. He runs his own dating business, and I just want him to introduce himself. So go ahead, man. The floor is yours.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. So, long story short, my name is Emiliano, and I've been a professional dating and attraction coach for the past 4 years. And what I do is essentially that, which is helping men to develop the confidence and the charisma so they can be able to meet, to approach, to attract, and to build this abundance, right, in the dating life so they can finally feel like that guy.
Nice, man. Yeah. So I do something kind of similar, but I teach more like escalating. Because as I was telling Emiliano before we rolled, I basically learned through working with on Jason Capital's agency that basically sales and dating is practically the same thing. And you can really look at shit tests as objections and just overcoming those objections and whatnot. So yeah, I heard that Emiliano has some enticing stories, so I would love to hear some of them. So go for it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I've been in the dating space for the past like 10 years. Before I started my business, I was an engineer, right? I had an engineering background, and I was following all this like pickup artists and YouTube, and I got myself a couple of dating coaches back in the day, right? Maybe you've heard about Real Social Dynamics,
Hmm.
and yeah, a couple of those guys. And yeah, I started to again become very interesting about this topic, especially because I was never that guy. I was used to be very introverted. I used to be very unsuccessful with women in general, right? Friend zones, rejections, just not being able to walk up and talk to girls, right? So that's how I got into it. That was the backstory, right? And long story short, well, I'm really good at it to the point that my friends were watching me just approach girls, pick up girls, and yeah, just pulling them. So um, there definitely has been some things that have changed, and in the time being, right now, I'm with an amazing girlfriend, right? I'm in a relationship, and but definitely I do not regret even some of the mistakes that I've done in the past, if you can call them that, because they built me into the person that I am today. And yeah, coming to those to those stories, I've lived in various places around the world. I've lived in Spain and the UK, a couple parts of the US, and a bunch of places here in Mexico, even Venezuela. And it's different, but it's the same, Adam. It's like people always say that the grass is greener on the other side. But when you do have the skills, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all humans, right? So we kind of work in the same way, and you learn to recognize the patterns of how men work, of how women work, right? Obviously, every person is different. It has their unique characteristics, but at the end of the day, there's patterns that you can recognize, and there's ways that you can understand how we behave and how we react depending uh, certain things that are happening, right? And how we can interact with other people. So, for example, one of my favorites is when I was living in Scotland a few years ago. And to be fair, I did not connect very well with a lot of Scottish girls. And the reason is, I'm sure there are exceptions, but they're not my type. They're definitely not my type. Scottish girls. I was in Glasgow. But the good thing was that it was a very cosmopolitan city, meaning there was a lot of people from everywhere around the world, from Latin America, from Italy, from Spain, from France, from Poland, from all over the world, the US, Canada. And that was great because I'm pretty sure you've noticed this as well. Whenever a girl or even a guy anywhere is in tourist mode, they tend to be more adventurous and they tend to be more open-minded in terms of new experiences. So that definitely gives you an advantage to meet those type of people. So, well, yeah, I met this girl. She was from Poland actually, and it was at a bar in Glasgow. And I was with my friends. You know, it was our first night out. I still remember that. It was our first night out, and we were at the bar. We were chatting. Right, we didn't know each other that well. I didn't know those guys that well at that moment. So in a way, I was a bit nervous of how they would react to see me pick up girls, you know. But I was like, hey, dude, I'm here to have fun, right? So fuck it. And I went with I saw this girl, and I still remember the opener. It was something along the lines of, "Hey, I had to come talk to you because if I didn't, then I would have regretted it for the next." And then I watched my watch for the next 7 minutes. So corny, man. So freaking corny, right? But it worked.
Yeah.
And she was a college girl. She smiled, she giggled, and she said something. She came closer to my ear and she said something that I could not understand. Dude, the Scottish accent is so hard to understand, man. Like for real, it took me like a couple months to get used to it. And was the reason why it was so difficult to just communicate with each other because I could not understand her accent, right? But at the end of the day, you know, that verbal communication is just a very small part of the whole communication spectrum where body language, tonality, eye contact, energy projection takes more relevance and is way more important. So that's exactly what I went to, right? And took her hand. I led her to the dance floor, and we started dancing. We started to get closer to each other, and yeah, we're just having fun, right? We were keeping the talking to a minimum because she, at the same time, understood that it was going to be a bit difficult to have a verbal conversation, right? And then yeah, by the end of the night, we went to her place. It was an after party with her friends, right? I left my friends over there at the bar, and we went to her place, right? And at that point, it was it was just game on. I knew that it was game over at that point, right? Uh, the problem was that after whatever happened, turns out that I found out that she had a boyfriend. And that was my first experience, man. That was my first experience doing it with a girl that had a boyfriend. I had no idea, right? Of course, I was not going to ask. I never asked, to be honest, because I always assumed that they don't have a boyfriend. Otherwise, why would they be flirting with me, right? But dude, just out of nowhere, she's like, she woke me up right in the middle of the night. Well, it was early morning, but she woke me up. Hey, you got to go. And I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah, you got to go like right now. And I'm like, why? What's going on? My boyfriend's going to come here. My boyfriend's going to arrive in like 5 minutes. Dude, it was winter in Glasgow, in Scotland. It was snowing, right? I took my clothes. It was a second floor, and I escaped out of the window. I had to escape out of the window in the middle of the winter with just my pants on. I couldn't even put my shirt on. She literally grabbed my clothes and just threw them out the window. I
It's
did. I didn't know what was happening, man. Like for real, it was so surreal what was going on. I couldn't really understand until a couple minutes later what was going on. And yeah, dude, that was one of the craziest that I've had.
Dude, that's so funny that you say that because you know about this podcast will be dropping after I basically release my re-release of a very steamy podcast called Tease Women to Want to Kiss You, and I actually just on that episode I was talking about how girls will not tell you if they have a boyfriend, and it's spot on. He's right, you guys. I mean, I've kissed girls and they've had boyfriends. It's like it's crazy. Girls will do this. Just be prepared.
What do you
especially
think about that?
yeah, yeah. They will do this, and you got to be prepared. And this right here is female hypergamy 101. So yeah,
What do
wow.
you think about that, man?
That 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 was um I'm not gonna lie, that had to have been a cold night because you were what? You were only in your boxes, you said, or like what happened?
I was able to put my pants on, but
Oh,
that was all of it.
yeah, that's pretty funny, dude. So what comes to my mind, you guys, is I recently released an episode. It was called Three Gambits to Show Assertiveness. I'll say this briefly, and then we'll get into the topic of dating international women. But basically, all right, I remember she texted me and she called me ugly. Now, here's what I did, you guys. If we were already like in a relationship at the time, all right? I'm talking about my previous partner, but the whole point is this, you guys. This is what happened. She called me ugly, and then I said, "You are in extreme deep trouble." And then she said, "How so?" And then I said, "Be prepared to be thrown down later tonight, like in your bed." And then after that, later that night, what I did is I followed through like a masculine man follows through, and he holds his word, right? And after that, you guys, you can tell where it went from there. Ate her out. Yeah, yeah. I tend to talk about really steamy topics, so go for it, dude. I don't give a shit. All right, let's keep moving forward. Let's talk about dating international women. So, what other stories do you have other than freezing your butt off? And was it Scotland? Or
Yes, that was in Glasgow, Scotland.
all right, yeah. What other stories do you have? I wanna hear it.
Well, here's the thing, man. I've never been that avid traveler. Like I've traveled a lot. I've visited so far I have 22 countries. Uh, but 22 countries visited, but it's not like a passion of mine or it's not like a bucket list thing that I have. A lot of people say that they want to travel and it's in their goals and they want to visit so many countries. And I think that's cool. It's just that I've mostly traveled either because uh, work or back in the days because of school things, right? University things. So it's not that oh, I want to travel. I want to meet as many girls as possible, and I want to have sex with as many girls as possible. Probably back in the day, there was some motivation to that. Right now I'm 30, so definitely some things have changed. But but yeah, absolutely. I mean, back in the day, it was I was not gonna let the opportunity pass if I was in a new city, because there's this feeling of freedom in a way, social freedom of I'm in a new city, unexplored, no one knows me here. I can behave in a way that I wouldn't, that I would feel constrained, for example, back at home or this kind of things. So another one that comes to mind, right, is Nashville. Nashville was Nashville in the US was a great one. I'm a huge country fan, so dude, I had a lot of fun there. And yeah, yeah, we were
Did you
I
did
was with
you
some
go to any cowboy bars or what?
dude, all of them, all of the honky tonks, all of the honky tonks on Broadway and Nashville. It's crazy. It's crazy over there. And it has become a huge hub for bachelorette parties. So that's kind of like the Vegas of of that side. So yeah, it's a very fun city, great nightlife, and well, here's the thing. I don't drink at all. Like I've had probably like 3 drinks in my whole life, right? In 30 years of my life.
That is
So
awesome, dude. Love it.
yeah, yeah, one of the reasons is I just love being present and being very conscious, and I don't like to depend on alcohol to gain, uh, yeah, just liquid courage.
Hmm.
Essentially, when I'm at the bar or at the club talking to girls, and it also gives you a different perspective in terms of what's going on. Like when you're drunk, you kind of lose track of what's going on. You lose track of time and you're not aware of how people behave. So you're not as sharp, you know, when you're completely sober, you're as sharp as it can be. And that gives you an unfair advantage to anyone in that place. Just the fact that you're very present, that you're very aware of what's going on, that you can pick up signals from the people that you're talking to. You can pick up very easily how girls are reacting and what cues they're giving, so you can seize those opportunities. And yeah, I think it's an unfair advantage. And yeah, again, also girls, they don't really enjoy having conversations with guys that are super drunk or wasted. It's not fun for them. So it
Oh,
also,
yeah. Can I say something really quick on that?
yeah, go for it.
So not that long ago, you guys, I don't want to say what business this happened at. Let's just say that I work here. But either way, I had to deal with a very, very, very drunk guy who basically came in. Dude, this was his wedding night.
Okay.
Like, and he got like irritated with me over nothing, and kept accusing me of ruining his wedding night. And then I I just stared him down with my eyes, and I said, "Dude, like, no disrespect, but uh, I mean, this doesn't have to escalate the way you're going about this kind of thing." And I could smell alcohol on him. And guys, I just want to make this as an example to everyone listening. You don't need alcohol to get into state. I'm going to tell you guys a fun fact. I know some of my podcasts are kind of steamy, kind of naughty, shit like that, but I'm going to tell you guys a fun fact about Adam. I have not gotten drunk in my entire life. Never. I don't have a desire to drink. And okay, I have had red wine here and there, sure, but it's like it's the teeniest little sip, and then I don't even go much farther than that. Like, girls will often say to me, "Adam, you're not gonna drink more." I'm like, "No, nice try, but I'm not going to." So it's just like you're not gonna be able to get me drunk, chick. Like, I'll often say that too, but yeah, just as a joke. But either way, the whole point is I want to make this as a teaching point to my listeners. You don't need liquid courage. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And like you said, it's a great set point to start bantering or to make the conversation a bit more playful. And it absolutely makes you stand out, dude. Like if whenever I'm out, I'm almost always the only person that is not drinking, right? That is with a bottle of water or with a glass of water, right? So girls are somehow amazed, and they just start by saying something like, how come you're not drinking? Here, have a sip, or here, have a shot, right? And like you said, you can make it playful and
Mhm.
turn around the frame, as in making them making them think that they're the ones that are picking you up, right? They're the ones that are hitting on you.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
That's gonna work. I'm sorry. I know what you're trying to do. I know that you're trying to get me drunk and take advantage of me, but I'm sorry, that's not gonna work, right?
I know you want to take me out into your sniper hideout and taking advantage of me and all that shit. Yeah. Just yeah, guys. It's just like you got to make shit up. Sometimes when I banter with girls, I'll just say this: "How goes it, bro?" I just say it like that. How goes it, bro? And I'll
Yeah,
call them. I will call them bro, just to see like how they'll react. And
totally.
it's just like, guys, if you want to get a girl to act more feminine, steal that from me. How goes it, bro? They don't want to be called bro. So, but yeah, kind of a little trick there. Either way, I want to tell you guys real quick, circling back to the topic of dating international women, what other countries have you been to?
Right. So I've been to Ireland, Scotland, England, Spain, Italy. Oh, dude, Spain is great. Spain is has been one of my favorite, especially because there's something about uh, I'm Mexican, right? 100% born and raised. So we usually tend to like what is different. You know, we usually tend to be attracted to what is scarce. We value what is scarce. That's one of the fundamental principles of social attraction as well. And that applies, for example, to people or to types of people in your surroundings, right? So, for example, here in Mexico, sure, I mean, with good game, with good dating and social skills, confidence, and knowing how to stand out, then it can be done, right? For me, it has worked for me. But it has an advantage being a Latin guy in say a Nordic country, right? For example. So there has been this boom of expats and foreigners that come not only to Mexico City, but also other Latin American cities like Medellin in Colombia or uh, in Brazil or Buenos Aires in Argentina. So because they're starting to notice that they do become like this exotic fruit that everyone desires when they go get there. And it certainly has an advantage, although there's some cases I'm not gonna judge anything or anyone, but there's some cases where I think that's a that's an escape, you know. It's like, well, I don't have the skills, I don't have the charisma, I couldn't make it in my own city. Therefore, I'm gonna go where it's easier for me. And sure, if you have the opportunity, I guess there's nothing stopping you, right? But then what happens when that stops becoming an advantage, right? That's when the actual skills, that's when the fundamentals, that's when the actual personality that you have developed comes into place, right? There comes to a point where you can't use that as a crutch to the lack of confidence or social skills or game that you have developed over the years. So that's another topic. It's also very common lately with the very popular passport bros, you know. And I get that. I mean, I totally understand. There's has been this tendency of women being less and less feminine in Western countries, right, such as the US or Canada or the UK. Therefore, men are fleeing towards countries where femininity is still embraced by women, you know, in general, especially Latin American countries or Eastern European countries, Philippines even. But it's definitely an issue that I have seen by living in different places around the world where now there's a lot of women back in, for example, the States or the UK or Canada, that women then are left with nothing back there, you know, and men take this attitude of, yeah, well, that's what you got. And they generalize this hate towards the opposite sex. And I think at that point it becomes toxic as well, because there's obviously going to be exceptions to the rule, right? And obviously there's going to be men that are becoming less masculine, right? There's a decrease in testosterone that has been happening for like 40 years now. That is a problem. And there's also this decrease in femininity in women, right? And I think both sexes have responsibility over what's going on. And the result has been this phenomena of expats and foreigners fleeing to Latin American countries, Eastern European countries. And I'm not going to say it's a problem. I'm just going to say it's a consequence, right? You can see there's obviously advantages and disadvantages to that, like anything in the world. But it's something to take into consideration when you're dating internationally, the effect that being a foreigner has on the locals, essentially.
Yeah, man, from my experience, you just gotta be as polarizing as possible if you want girls to be like more in their girly, feminine spirit. That's from my experience. Because if if she is like nitpicking you, she's making all these weird side comments, you just gotta nip it in the bud, and you have to be like, look, girl, I'm out the door right now. If you want to keep doing this shit, like, I don't give a fuck. I'm out. And that's, I mean, I've done that more times than I can count. So it's just like, you're gonna keep doing that shit. I'm out. And then they're like reprimanded. So it's like, this might sound kind of fucked up, but it's called the psychological phenomena of reward and punishment tendency. But either way, I'm not saying that to be like a dick, as some people misinterpret me. I'm saying that because how else can girls see how much of a man you are? Like, you guys, you gotta show that you're willing to let them go. Like, you can't just be so emotionally invested in that relationship, because the minute she sees that little neediness of the relationship, she's turned off. Pussy gets
Yeah,
dry. Yeah, pussy gets dry. I hate to be crude here, but pussy gets dry. So yeah.
there's the element of well, women tend to be more obviously emotional, right? And with that tends to come drama to different levels, right? And definitely you as a man have to have the boundaries. The dynamic changes in terms of the not only the type of relationship, but the stage where you're at in that relationship, right? You're gonna handle that differently with a girl that you just met as to with a woman with whom you have been on a 3 month relationship or you have been dating for 3 months. And that is going to be different as well to how you handle it with a woman that you've been in a year, 1 year relationship, right? So um, it changes, it varies on how to handle it. But yeah, yeah, it's absolutely a thing that you as a man need to stand your ground and need to have boundaries.
Hmm.
And the moment that you become a pushover, it's over, right? It's over because
Yeah. Hmm.
women are looking for a leader, for strength, right? Not only or specifically physical, but strength in terms of someone that is grounded, someone that has that masculine energy that will let her femininity bloom, right?
Hmm.
Even if they say that they want equality and all that, I'm not definitely not a big fan of the radical movement of women are men are the same, because we're not. So what we men are going to be attracted to in the opposite sex is going to be different to what women are attracted to in us, right? So there definitely has to be that polarity in terms of masculine and feminine energy.
Hmm.
And how is very important, right? Because sure, there's a lot of talk out there about, oh, you have to be masculine and feminine women are way better. And but then again, a lot of guys don't know how to express or how to develop that masculinity, that mental psychological strength.
I'm totally about to plug my hardcover book, but you know what? Fuck it. I don't care. 77 Ways to Develop a Masculine Mindset in the show notes, guys. I talk about developing your dark side. Girls want to know that you're not to be fucked with. Now, if you're gonna sit there and say, "Oh, Adam, you sound like a dick again," well, I don't care. because you guys dicks get one thing right. They don't give a shit about anything. So,
Yeah, yeah, that dark side is, dude, is a it's a whole topic that I love as well because we all have that darkness, right?
mhm,
Men, women, we just express it differently, and also it depends on the person to what extent we have it, but we all have it, and we
mhm.
all have that dark side. We all have that part of us, and yes, there's definitely advantages to developing it as a man, right? And just understanding, at the very least, understanding, and that's what I tell my clients a lot, and that's something that we work on is understanding narcissism, understanding Machiavellism, understanding psychopathy, sociopathy, not with
So
the purpose.
you know about the Dark Triad.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
that
yeah, for sure.
that's something I go in deep into in my hardcover book. So I just want everyone to really consider what Emiliano just said because I have about like 2 minutes left here, but I just want you guys to really take into consideration what he just said because that is so fucking key. You guys can sit there and say, "Oh, Adam, I don't want to know my dark triad traits." Well, I guess you'll stay the nice guy.
And
You
it's understandable, man.
yeah. It's like I want what's best for my listeners, but it's just like when you don't take action, that's also not masculine either. So what I suggest you do if this is like if you don't want to know your dark triad traits, then I suggest you at least go to Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and start lifting weights. Go to Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and start lifting weights because that will improve your testosterone right away. So, and if there's anything that you want to wrap up this your stories on, let me know because I have about like 2 minutes left here.
Yeah, no, essentially is that it's understandable, to an extent that men are not super, or women for that matter, willing to explore that dark side of them because it's not as easy, and it can bring up things that can be dangerous for oneself. But it's definitely something that we should all do just to at least understand and to understand how other people can take advantage of us. How other narcissists out there, how other Machiavellians out there, how other psychopaths out there can use it against us. So at least as a defense mechanism, great thing to get into.
So I'm gonna really wrap this up for all of you guys to think about this right here. Think about this comment right here. I don't care who you are. If you're listening to my show and you're listening to my words right now, seduction, persuasion, and manipulation, they all intertwine with each other. They're literally like no different if you think about it. So it's kind of like a lot to think about. So I have you digest that right now. I want all of you guys to digest that, and I really want to wrap up this podcast by saying, Emiliano, thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming on the Masculine Mindset Show. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me. And for anyone interested to get to know me more, at Attractive Lifestyle Mentoring on Instagram, at Attractive Lifestyle Mentoring. And yeah, Adam, thanks you.
Appreciate it.